Hello, Team TSTA. Welcome to the first virtual TSTA awards ceremony in the 140-year history of the Texas State Teachers Association. I'm Noel Candelaria, President of the Texas State Teachers Association. It's a pleasure to be here with you, even if it's in this Zoom space. I wish we were meeting under different circumstances in my hometown of El Paso, but COVID-19, which has changed so many things in our lives, has made that impossible. While we can't hug each other and debate new business items for hours, we can still virtually gather and honor many of our 2020 award winners and catch up on the work of the union in the age of COVID-19. This has been a very busy time for the union at the local, state, and national level. We are engaged at every level to ensure we and our kids are safe and that we have the resources we need to do our jobs in 2020-2021. We begin by acknowledging that we are broadcasting from the traditional lands served by the Tonkawa and Comanche people. We honor America's first people and all elders, past, present, and emerging, and we are called on to learn and share what we learn about from the tribal history, culture, and contributions that have been hidden from view in the story of America. Check out the app, Native Land, to learn more about the first people of the lands where you are viewing from today. We will begin this year's ceremony by hearing from someone you already know, who will bring us up to speed on what our national union is focused on at this critical time. She needs no introduction, but I'm going to introduce her anyway. She is a leader who began her career in education as a school lunch lady in Utah, is the 1989 Utah Teacher of the Year, and after a number of other accomplishments, is now the president of the country's largest labor union, the National Education Association. Lily Eskelsen Garcia also is the first Latina to lead the NEA and is one of the country's most influential Hispanic educators. Lily is a strong advocate for children and educators and has exercised that strong, visible leadership during this pandemic, assuring us as NEA members around the country that she and NEA have our backs during this unprecedented health emergency. She also has repeatedly reminded Congress that the nation's recovery from the economic crisis spawned by this pandemic will run through our public schools. And she has been a tireless advocate for more federal emergency funding for our educators, students, and communities. Lily has long been a sought-after speaker and has delivered keynote addresses at hundreds of education events throughout the country, earning recognition by Education World in its Best Conference Speakers edition. You probably have read her blog, Lily's Blackboard, on the NEA website, offering the teacher's perspective on education issues. Her advice has been published in Parenting magazine, and she has made numerous appearances on national television, even on the not-so-friendly Fox and Friends. Lily obviously is among friends today, as she joins us virtually, but please help me welcome Lily Eskelsen Garcia to the TSTH HoD Virtual Awards Ceremony. Lily?
Hola, TSTA. I am so excited to hang with you for about 5 minutes. And I want to first give you a big shout out for everything you're about to do for your state PAC. You know more than maybe anyone else in the country how important it is that we get people who really love public education and respect us to be in those political offices. And I know that with everything you have to do right now, you're going to do it virtually. I know that you've got a lot of things in your day jobs. Just about everyone is trying to figure out how you can still give your students a meaningful experience. And I've been doing a lot of interviews. A reporter asked for advice on parents in lockdown who were pulling their hair out because they couldn't have 2 kids do what we have 32 kids do every day. And I think she was expecting like recipes that you could make into a science experiment or the best of Netflix or whatever it was. And I told her about one of our teachers who had called me. I have given my cell phone out to too many people because there's this very creative teacher in Vermont who called me, and she was just bragging how creative her colleagues were. She was talking about how she meets the bus drivers at the school every day and hands the bus driver homework packets for the kids. They've got routers on the buses so that kids who have a tablet at home can download and upload their homework. And something happened funny in a Zoom class she was happening, and she started giggling, and then all of a sudden she started crying. And she was so embarrassed. She was like, "I'm so sorry, I'm crying. I don't even know why I'm doing it. It's not why I called you." And then she said, "I'm not sure what I'm doing. I'm doing the best I can, but what if it's all wrong? I could be doing more. I'm so tired." And I had just been on Fox News before I got her call. And I got tears in my eyes, and not just because it was Fox News. The reporter was asking about our plans for kids who had fallen behind in reading, writing, and arithmetic. And I said, we're worried. We are worried about our kids, but we're professionals. We will figure that out. We will get them caught up. We're not sure how we're going to do that right now. But I got tears in my eyes because I said, I'm not sure that that's going to be the most important problem. I said, we are all experiencing trauma. Our students, their parents, we are. We're living with uncertainty and fear, and the world is not the safe place we thought it was. We are not in control of the things we thought we could control. And when it's time to come back, we're going to need time to heal. My advice to that reporter, to parents, to you, I'm talking to myself here too, don't apologize. Not for tears, not for how you feel. Feel what you feel. We have experienced horrible situations before, mass shootings, tornadoes, hurricanes. No one in the world has experienced what the world is living through right now all at the same time. There is a deadly, invisible virus, easily contracted, no cure or vaccine, and the only thing that doctors can tell us to do is try not to contaminate each other and to self-isolate. I'm sitting here at home right now. And when you do that week after week after week, it gets very stressful. It's not relaxing. And stress shows itself in all kinds of ways. It's stressful to sustain long periods of fear and uncertainty. And I know that even these viral virtual meetings that are going on right now, the ones that you're watching right now, it takes a different kind of energy. I get energy from being around people, from giving them a hug and asking them how things are going. And we all feel a little starved right now. It comes in sadness and tears and anger and anxiety and even depression. And we're educators, and we are strong union folks, and we think we're made of steel. We're made of flesh and blood. We're human beings. This is tough for anyone to go through. But I'll tell you, something that we do have on our side. In this awful isolation, we have each other. And we have our mission. Our mission is to love someone else's child. And folks keep calling me and emailing me about something they're excited about. And what I see is a little miracle. Those teachers and bus drivers and lunch ladies and custodians and principals and school secretaries and counselors, we're all still finding ways to show up for our kids. If you asked me a month ago how long it would have taken for 3 million educators to find a way to put 52 million kids out of their classrooms around their 52 million kitchen tables, I'd say, oh, that'll take 1,000 years. Certainly not overnight. You're making it work overnight. And while you're going through your own trauma, that makes you pretty darn amazing. Now, the medical community is going to be given a ticker tape parade when all of this is over. They are the frontline soldiers, and I honor their service. But I want you to know, educators are keeping the home fires burning. You're making life hopeful for families. You're giving them something meaningful to think about, to learn. And I'm not a scientist, but today I know this. We're one step closer to the end of this crisis, and tomorrow we'll be one step closer still. And when the medical infectious disease professionals tell us on some great day that it's now safe to go back to buildings where we were working and how we should go back into those buildings, here's what I know. Nothing's going to be the same. At least that's my hope. I hope we don't go back to the way things were, where some kids had what they need and some kids never did have what they needed, where some educators were given what they needed and some educators have to buy what they need out of their own pockets for their students. But it's more than that. The press is focused on the day that that building is going to be open. We want to know not just when. It's important to us to know how, because we want school to start up again. First of all, I make it very clear to them, we want our students back, but we want it when it's safe. Teachers need to help plan how we're going to distance 39 kids. I had 39 sixth graders one year. I could help take a look at the space. I could help look at calendars because it's not going to be the same everywhere. Our custodians need to be on the plan to help decide how we're going to disinfect and what they need in terms of assistance to do things that they've never been asked to do before. We're going to want that village of educators, the teachers, the support professionals, the counselors, the school nurse. All of the family of educators need to be there when that school is open. And we'll need some resources to do it safely. You need to help us get that. We need Congress to send us the same help that they sent to all those businesses who were going to have to lay off workers. They said, oh, we can't let that happen, not to a business. Well, we need help now. The House of Representatives passed the HEROES Act. I love that name. This was for public servants, including public educators. And we need you to contact your senator right now, NEA.org/COVID action. We need Congress to pass that HEROES Act to send your school district the funding that can help educators keep their jobs until your state and local tax revenue picks up again. So you're going to go there, NEA.org/what? COVID action, one word, COVID action. Tell them to save the jobs of educators, of you, your colleagues. Help the kids who are counting on us with your voice, millions of members and parents and the public who have, by the way, those moms and dads, a newfound appreciation for educators. We've got to move the Senate to action so that school buildings can open again when it's safe. But here's what I think you've already discovered. That building never was who we are. Who we are, we carry inside of us. That virus didn't stop us from being people who love someone else's child. We carry that inside of us, whether we walk into a school or we reach out to those kids while we're sitting in our kitchens, whether we walk into a union office or turn on a Zoom call, whether or not we march in a rally. No one can stop us from being who we are. Not a hurricane, not a tornado, not a darn virus. Who you are, you brought into this cyberspace right here to lift up your voice, to lift up your love. And I want to thank President Noel Candelaria. Thank you, hermano mío. Thank your amazing team for what you're doing for the great state of Texas, my new state, since we just bought a house here in El Paso, for your members, for their students, for your communities. Thank you for keeping the lights on in this dark time. And as I come to the end of my term, and this may be the last time I get to tell you, all of you, how much I love you. My job has been loving someone else's child and also loving the people who serve them. I love who we are. It has been the honor of my life to be the smallest part of us. Gracias por todo. You stay safe. You be well. Mil gracias, mis hermanos y hermanas. Nos vemos muy pronto. I hope to see you soon. Take care.
Gracias, Lily. Thank you for always leading with your heart. It's truly been my honor to have been able to serve my 6 years as state president alongside with you as our national president. Delegates, hopefully you just got a text message explaining how you can become a continuing contributor, or if you're currently a continuing contributor, how you can upgrade now. If not, we have put the link on the screen for you to do just that. It is now my great pleasure to introduce your TSTA Vice President and President-elect, Ovidia Molina.
Thank you, Noel. It is time to honor the winner of the Irma Lee Boyce Instructional Advocacy Award. This is an award that recognizes and promotes teaching excellence based on professional practice, advocacy for the profession, community engagement, leadership and professional development, and attention to diversity. This year's recipient is Michelle Sandoval, a middle school math teacher in Isleta ISD in El Paso, a graduate of UT El Paso, and a member of the Isleta Teachers Association. Michelle is also the 2019-2020 Texas Secondary Teacher of the Year. In addition to teaching math at Parkland Pre-Engineering Middle School, Michelle is the Student Council sponsor and a volleyball coach. In the past 2 years, her Student Council students have documented more than 2,100 hours of community service. At the Food Bank, the Child Crisis Center, Special Olympics, and other community organizations in El Paso. And the volleyball team she helps coach won their school's first ever district championship. On top of all that, Michelle is a phenomenal teacher and a mentor of other teachers. A very high percentage of her students are low income, and Michelle inspires them to reach for more, beginning with college. Teach with kindness and build everlasting relationships, Michelle says. We must, as educators, care about the students first, before academics. We need to get to know them inside out. It is a belief that she practices every day. Michelle grew up in El Paso, in Isleta ISD, and attended the middle school where she now teaches. Her first grade teacher, Mrs. Chavez, was an inspiration for her. And Michelle has been an inspiration for countless students of her own, and fellow educators as well. Her principal had this to say about her. Ms. Sandoval is a true advocate for students and teachers alike. Just as she knows how to bring out the best in our teachers, she knows how to bring out the best in students. Her associate superintendent added, Michelle has a smile that literally lights up the room. She truly understands the importance of building relationships, and because of this, she is able to capture the hearts of her students and the respect of her peers and parents. Here is the 2020 Irma Lee Boyce Award recipient, Michelle Sandoval of Isleta ISD and the Isleta Teachers Association.
I would personally like to thank TSTA for the Irma Lee Boyce Instructional Advocacy Award. You have no idea what this means to me during this very trying time in education. Education has completely changed. We went from being in classrooms face-to-face with our students to diving headfirst, full speed into digital learning. And for all teachers all across Texas, and especially myself, we are doing whatever it takes in order to continue to build those connections and relationships with all the students. We do miss those teachable moments. I know I do. I miss the laughter, the noise, and all the beautiful things that we see our students do every single day. But I think now more than ever, we should continue to advocate for our students and for their well-being, especially for their social and emotional well-being. We want to continue to love them, as I do every single day with social hour and other innovative methods that I've been using in my classroom. I think it is so important to continue to make sure that our students know that we love them and we care for them, and we always want to keep them safe. So I would just love to spread my positive message all across the state of Texas and the United States to ensure that teachers just continue to be positive, and for our students to continue to know that teachers love them even from afar. We never give up. Teachers are the #1 supporter for all students and all children all across our state and all across this country and our world. I just want to thank you for being able to receive this award, because you could have chosen anybody, but you chose me. And that really humbles me, because I'm still getting used to saying that I'm the Texas Secondary Teacher of the Year. I just want to thank you, because this continues to show the students that are from my neighborhood that if I can do it, so can they. I want to just send a positive message to all teachers and students that we are continuing to do this with grace, with compassion, and love. So thank you once again, all the way from El Paso, Texas. I thank you so, so much.
Now we're going to hear from NEA's 2019 ESP of the Year, Matthew Powell. I've had the pleasure to work with Matthew this past year, and I'm proud to call Matthew my friend. Matthew leads the custodial team at Graves County Central Elementary School in Mayfield, Kentucky. But that doesn't begin to tell his story. An article about Matthew in the NEA Today magazine summed up Matthew's contributions to education and his community this way. Matthew Powell does it all, it said. And he does. Matthew is also the safety officer for the crisis management team at Graves County Schools and fills in as a special events bus driver. He is a former softball coach and team bus driver. And he has led a fight to keep the city of Mayfield from annexing school property, which would deprive the district of much needed tax revenue and increase payroll taxes for school employees. He even took the unusual step of establishing legal residency in a small housing unit on school grounds as a nighttime security guard to block the city's encroachment, and he filed a lawsuit against the city. As a member of NEA's board of directors, Matthew also helped develop the NEA ESP Professional Growth Continuum, or PGC as we know it. Since going to work for Graves County Schools, where he is a member of the Graves County Education Support Professionals, Matthew has earned a bachelor's degree in educational studies from Western Governors University. NEA President Lily Escalcin Garcia has had this to say about him. Matthew thinks in terms of possibilities rather than impossibilities, solutions rather than problems, does rather than don'ts, but most of all, he believes that students should be at the center of every decision we make in our schools. Matthew calls himself a strong advocate for meeting the needs of the whole student. As you can see, Matthew stays busy, but we are very happy that he found the time to visit with us today and spend time with our TSTA family. Please welcome my friend and NEA's 2019 ESP of the Year from Kentucky, mi amigo, my friend, Matthew Powell.
Thank you, TSTA leadership and staff, for giving me the opportunity to be a part of the TSTA Awards ceremony. Most of all, thank you to the incredible ESPs across Texas. It's an honor and privilege to be your 2019 NEA ESP of the Year. My name is Matthew Powell, and I am a proud head custodian, bus driver, and night watchman from Western Kentucky. Unfortunately, I could not be with you in person for your TSTA ESP conference due to the current health pandemic. It's even better that I get to be a part of the TSTA annual awards celebration. I am a proud product of public education. My mother is a dedicated school lunch lady who shares the same values and dedication to public education. Education has been my passion since I was a high school student volunteering in the elementary classroom. I will always treasure those experiences and encounters along with the great educators who led me to my journey in education. The last 12 years working in public education has truly been a blessing. I started working as a special education paraeducator in the school district that I attended as a student. After working in this role for 3 years, I went back to school to pursue my Bachelor's of Arts in Educational Studies while working full-time as a nighttime school custodian. After earning my degree, I was hired in my current role as a custodial supervisor for the largest elementary school in my district. My students range from birth to 6th grade. As a custodial supervisor, I have a wide range of significant worksite responsibilities. My main responsibility is to ensure that students, staff, and anyone who enters the school building has a positive and clean learning environment. My custodial team and I strive every day to ensure that critical responsibility is met. I also serve as a safety officer on my school district's crisis management team, meeting monthly to review procedures to make sure that they are up to date and most effective. I also fill in as a school bus driver when the district is in need of substitute drivers or when my students go on short distance field trips. In 2016, I established residency on the school grounds as a night watchman to increase student safety and to help protect our county school district from forced municipal annexation. As a night watchman, I live on school grounds to care for students staying after school or coming back at night from school-related trips. Also, as a resident of the school property, I filed a lawsuit petitioning against the forced annexation. If the annexation would go through, it would result in a loss of revenue for our students and the potential loss of dedicated, skilled ESPs. This lawsuit is now in the Supreme Court of Kentucky. I always aspired to become a teacher. However, after graduating college, I learned that I wanted to extend the learning process beyond the four walls of a typical classroom. I'm committed to being an ESP because my classroom is now on the bus, in the cafeteria, on the playground, in the halls, at the car loop, outside at the koi pond, and many other places around the school. My class size is not confined to 20 to 30 students. It's all 538 of my students in my school. I do the work of an ESP because I can instill the learning process in everything that I do and advocate for my profession at the same time. I'm committed to creating a fun, safe, and positive culture of my role as an ESP. You can often find me in disguise as Cat in the Hat, Clifford, Santa, or even the elf on the shelf. I strive to promote learning and excitement in all that I can. ESPs make sure that students have the opportunity to learn by creating a safe and healthy learning environment where students feel welcomed and loved for who they are. Research shows that one caring adult is all that it takes to help students feel safe enough to learn and grow. That caring adult many a times can be ESPs. Over the last few months, it's ESPs stepping up as essential employees to continue to do what we do best and help meet the needs of the whole child. We are collaborating and coming up with creative alternatives to help students and families. I want to express my sincere appreciation for everything that you continue to do during this unique pandemic. As ESPs, we are the ones best equipped to tell our schools about decisions made inside our schools. We know our students, and many of us live in the community that we work in. We deserve a seat at the table when policies and decisions are made that impacts our work and the students and communities that we serve. That is where our voice is needed loud and clear. Over the years in Kentucky, we have organized and won several legislative victories for ESPs. Things like job tenure and seniority, due process, paid sick leave, defined benefit pensions, ESP seat at the superintendent screen and search committee table, 12-month retirement credit for ESPs, health care for ESPs, and many more victories. All of these would not have been possible without ESPs using their voice and sharing their stories with their state senators and representatives. Although Kentucky is now a right to work for less state, our ESP victories over the years remains law. We have more battles to face to make sure that ESPs are respected for the critical role that we play in meeting the needs of every child. As critical members of this union, we have a powerful voice in creating the policies that affect our students and profession. We must educate our state and federal officials about who we are and how we meet the needs of the whole child. With the current health pandemic, public education cannot be shortchanged any more than it has been already. We must hold them accountable for their actions. Coming from Kentucky, I don't allow Mitch McConnell the easy way out. I have every letter that I have sent to him or delivered on behalf of members in a folder, and I certainly remind him of his wicked tactics and responses when it's election time. I want to close today by sharing one of my favorite quotes from Helen Keller. Alone, we can do so little. Together, we can do so much. Fellow ESPs, keep using your voice at the table for our students and profession. Never be afraid to speak up for public education and our students. We are often the only voice that our students have. We are the experts when it comes to public education, and our voices need to be a part of the conversation about our children and grandchildren's future. When we tell our amazing stories, we make ourselves our own heroes and not somebody's victim. Thank you, TSTA, for allowing me to be a part of this great, incredible opportunity and awards celebration. Thanks.
Our next guest is Andrea Beeman, NEA's 2020 ESP of the Year. Her selection was announced by our NEA President Lily Escalson Garcia at a teletown hall on March 25th. Andrea is a special education paraprofessional in Maple Heights, Ohio, a suburb of Cleveland. And like the rest of us, she's had to make some huge changes in her personal and professional life over the past few months. Andrea works with students who have severe developmental disabilities, and staying in touch with them and their families during this pandemic has presented some special challenges. The health crisis also has reinforced something that Andrea already knew. ESPs, our education support professionals, are part of the glue that holds our school communities together. I want our nation to remember, she said, that education support professionals work tirelessly when our students needed us the most. For that reason, she has pointed out, ESPs are among the heroes of this pandemic. The ESP of the Year Award recognizes someone for their outstanding contributions to their schools, communities, and profession. And Andrea, continues to make these contributions every single day. Andrea recognizes that this pandemic is the beginning of a new normal, that major changes are in store for schools and educators. Consequently, she is determined to see to it that ESPs, as well as teachers, are at the table when policymakers start making decisions that will affect the jobs and futures of hourly workers. We know our jobs are better than anyone else, and our voices have to be in the room, she said. Andrea is determined more than ever to organize and advocate for her fellow members because not only are we in the middle of a health crisis, we also are in a critical election year. More than ever before, we need to elect leaders at the federal level, state, and local level who truly care about the needs of students, educators, and their families and will act to improve our lives. We also need advocates such as Andrea Beeman to help us keep focused on that goal. Team TSTA, please join me in giving Andrea a proud Texas welcome to our virtual awards ceremony. Andrea?
Greetings, fellow union brothers and sisters in Texas. My name is Andrea Beeman. I'm a proud special education paraprofessional from Maple Heights, Ohio, and the NEA's 2020 ESP of the Year. I want to thank the Texas State Teachers Association for allowing me the opportunity to speak with you. Normally, we would be doing these types of events in person, and I so wish we could, but I'm grateful for the opportunity to connect with fellow educators in this virtual space. For the past 19 years, I've had the honor to work with students with severe developmental disabilities. I've accompanied them to inclusion classes, modified their assignments, and helped them with physical, occupational, and speech therapy. I miss my students. I miss greeting them when they arrive on the buses every morning, and I miss being with them until it's time for them to depart for home. I miss filling their days with fun, laughter, and learning. My students continue to empower me in everything I do as an NEA member and an ESP leader. 20 years ago, I became an NEA member. I became an NEA member because someone at my local took the time to ask, mentor me, and open up my eyes to the possibilities of what I could do for my students and my profession. I became an active member and sought out opportunities that allowed me to use my voice at the local, state, and national levels. My priority was to advocate for my students as well as my fellow ESP. As a member of my local's bargaining team, I advocated for several pieces of important contract language, including requiring bus monitors, a second adult, to be on school buses with kindergartners and special needs students. I also obtained language that requires my district to provide Hoya lifts to reduce the number of back injuries for paraprofessionals who transition students from standers, wheelchairs, and changing tables. In 2013, I was eager to become more engaged. I was accepted into the 2014 NEA ESP Leaders for Tomorrow program, and I ran successfully for local association president. As president, I strive to eliminate the sense of hopelessness that many ESP members felt. I worked hard to build stronger relationships with my union brothers and sisters. With the activism of our membership, we helped elect education-friendly school board candidates to our school board, including an ESP who is now a school board president. Together, we recognize our strength in numbers and transform the dynamic of our school district. One of my proudest accomplishments as president was working to bring union solidarity and protections to our district's food service staff. They were originally excluded from our bargaining union. These educators had not received a raise in 8 years. Their salary scale only had 3 steps, and they had no longevity or bereavement pay. After having one-on-one conversations followed by formal discussions, we obtained authorization cards for 90% of the cafeteria staff. In February 2015, they officially became members. Since then, they've obtained raises, enjoyed membership rights, and favorable working conditions. I'm proud to say our food service workers are some of the most active members in our local. In 2017, I was appointed to chair the NEA ESP Careers Committee, a strategic NEA board committee. I just completed my third term as chair, and I'm so proud of the committee's hard work and commitment to enhance the professional growth of ESPs through the NEA's Professional Growth Continuum, or the PGC. As some of you may know, the PGC provides clear pathways for professional learning and growth for the careers of ESPs. If you aren't familiar with the PGC, we encourage you to learn more about it at nea.org/ESPPGC. Over the years, I've continued to encourage members to advocate for members and for themselves and become advocates for their locals through lobbying efforts and community engagements, because the reality is this: we cannot stand up for our students if we don't stand up for our profession. I believe it is our responsibility as educators and leaders to maintain a sense of dignity and to keep students and our community safe and supported. It is what we all do. ESPs strive to do this every day, even in the face of a world crisis. Never in the 21st century have we ever experienced anything like COVID-19. This pandemic has changed us rapidly, and there's such an uncertainty about what's going to happen next. But I do know one thing for certain: education support professionals are some of the biggest heroes on the front line of this crisis. Throughout my state and your state and across the nation, educators are playing an important role tending to the needs of others during this difficult time. ESPs were heroes before COVID-19. We are heroes every single day when we walk into our work sites to help students succeed successfully, emotionally, and academically. It is clear that students have been and will always be our priority, as well as the lives of our colleagues and our families. I want everyone to remember that education support professionals worked and continue to work tirelessly for our students and when they needed us the most. ESP members are the glue that hold communities together. We are and always have been essential workers. We are essential, and our voices are very essential now more than ever. Never before have ESPs had the attention of the nation as we do today. Never before have we ever been so needed by our students and our families. We must be informed and stay active in decision making. We know our jobs better than anyone else, and our voices have to be in the room. Our members need to be at the table advocating for ESPs when our school districts develop health and safety plans and distant learning plans, and when they make financial decisions for hourly workers. Local association leaders have to stay in constant contact with school administrators because communication is the key. And the changes that are being made into our daily routines and our lives are moving at such a rapid pace. My priority as ESP of the year is to organize members because elections matter in every facet of our lives. This crisis is a clear window into how elected federal and state leaders respond to crisis and who truly had the backs of American families and the children of this nation. We need to stake our claim as essential partners in learning, partners in ensuring that our students are healthy, safe, engaged, supported, and challenged. And there are ways we can collectively take action. As I'm sure you're aware, the pandemic is having a devastating impact on our students, educators, and especially our communities of color. That is why NEA has launched a national campaign to demand that Congress respect the work that educators do, keep our children, communities, colleagues safe support our families, and remove the barriers that prevent our collective participation and our voices. Congress can do this by immediately passing legislation to stabilize education funding for students in our community schools and campuses, building bridges for education opportunities for students and stronger communities, and support the safety, healthy, and well-being of our students and our educators is key. This moment calls on all of us to advocate for all of us. We need to take action by going to educatingthroughcrisis.org. It has also never been more important to lock hands virtually together as a community of educators. ESPs, teachers, specialized education support personnel are standing together from their homes and work sites to fight for policy that will ensure the health and safety of our students, families, and each other. You are not alone. I know the future is uncertain, but also I know that together as NEA brothers and sisters, we can get through this and create a more certain future for our students and our community. In closing, I want to recognize each award winner being honored tonight. Every one of you has gone above and beyond the call of duty to impact student success, advocate for your fellow union members, and support your local communities and elevate your profession. Thank you for continuing to support us every day, because I know and you know what it means to be a champion for great public education. Thank you for your time today. I wish everyone and their families all the best. Please stay safe. Our kids need you in the fall. Be blessed.
We know the amazing and critical jobs our education support professionals do every day of the year. But this year, everyone else has recognized and acknowledged that they are truly essential employees in the education of our students. After most everyone who could had retreated to the safety of their homes, our ESPs remained on the front lines, providing our students with food and access to the technology needed to continue their education. At this time, I would like to show a video that captures a small piece of their heroic efforts this year. Every year, locals submit nominees to the Region Ronnie Ray ESP of the Year Awards. These region winners are then submitted to the state, and from that talented group of nominees, the TSTA ESP Committee selects our TSTA ESP of the Year. The winner, who is announced at the ESP conference, completes their term as the TSTA ESP of the Year with an address at the HoD. While this pandemic has prevented us from meeting in person to celebrate them on stage and on the HoD floor, I want us to take a moment to celebrate our local and region winners whom are listed on the screen. I want to encourage locals and regions to keep recognizing the amazing contributions of our ESP members by sending nominations. Congratulations to all of our amazing nominees. Now, another individual that we want to acknowledge today is Winnie Rose, who is TSTA's nominee for NEA's ESP of the Year Award. Winnie is an attendance clerk at Foster Middle School in Longview ISD and a member of the Longview Educators Association. While attendance clerk is her title, and Winnie sure does keep track of attendance, she does more than that. She has become a listening ear for students who teachers sent to her because, as Winnie puts it, they're challenged behaviorally. Actually, she will listen to any student who wants her to. They share their concerns and problems with her because they trust her. Winnie doesn't just make sure that students are present physically, she also makes sure that they are present emotionally. She's also been known to help a student with lunch money and has raised money in the Longview community for school supplies, backpacks, Christmas gifts, and money for needy families. I always felt in my heart I was placed on earth to help someone, Winnie says, and indeed, she's helped many people. As a member of the Longview Educators Association, Winnie is a strong advocate for the public education community and is always looking for ways to improve working environment for her fellow educators. Her can-do attitude, her drive and determination are an inspiration to her colleagues. She's an activist who keeps herself informed and regularly recruits new members to the cause of improving learning opportunities for students and respect for educators. She also assists at her campus with special events such as Black History Month and Cinco de Mayo. Team TSTA, please join me in applauding Winnie Rose of the Longview Educators Association, our nominee for NEA's ESP of the Year. Our next honoree is our own TSTA Ronnie Ray ESP of the Year Award winner for 2019-20, Charles Clark, who worked for 30 years in Hearst Euless Bedford ISD, also known as HEB, and most of them at Trinity High School before he retired. His official title was head custodian, but Charles was much more than that to his students, his fellow employees, and community. Over the years, he counseled countless students who were having a bad day or needed a father or grandfather figure in their lives. He was a community spokesperson for public education, a community volunteer, and a mentor to young people, especially students of color. See, Charles was such an inspiration to his school and community that he attracted an impressive amount of media attention over the years and a number of awards, including the HEB ISD's Legacy Builder Award, a humanitarian induction into the district's Sports Hall of Fame, and an Unsung Hero Award from the Texas Legislative Black Caucus. Charles was an NEA member for 25 years and a member of the Hearst Euless Bedford TSTA, where he was an advocate for professionalism and encouraged new hires at his school to join. I'm very impressed by Charles's work ethic and sense of community engagement, and would like to share with you a couple of memorable things that Charles has said over the years. "I'm living the American dream," he once observed. "I have people who love me. I have a home and a family, and I love going to work every morning." Charles also said, "I definitely don't work here to be recognized, but I hope one day someone might wonder if they could be a Mr. Clark for someone in need." Our world needs more Mr. Clarks. This Mr. Clark was our TSTA Ronnie Ray ESP of the Year Award winner. Please join me in congratulating Mr. Clark.
Hello, my name is Charles Clark. I was head custodian at HEB ISD for 30 years. I would like to thank you for recognizing me for the year 2019-2020 for the Ronnie Ray ESP Award. The reason this award is so important to me is because there are so many great personnel that we have in our ESP organization throughout the great state of Texas. For you to choose me, it is such an honor. And again, I would like to say thank you, thank you, thank you.
This is always one of my favorite parts of the ESP conference annually. We're very excited to announce that this year, the TSTA Ronnie Ray Award Subcommittee reviewed nomination packets for several highly qualified applicants. And they chose Maria Hernandez of the Isleta Teachers Association to be the 2020-2021 TSTA Ronnie Ray ESP Advocate of the Year Award winner. Congratulations, Maria, y felicidades. Way to go. At this time, I would like to bring back TSTA Vice President and President-elect Ovidia Molina.
Team TSTA, it is now that time. The time where I have the great honor of introducing our next speaker. For the past 5 years, I have looked forward to this introduction because, as you might remember from last year, he gets nervous. You see, as the years have gone by, I have more things I can say about him. And I promised you last year that my intro would get longer and longer, maybe even longer than his actual speech, for he has taught me well. But as I started preparing the speech, the intro, I couldn't find enough words. I couldn't quite find the words for my sixth and final TSTA introduction for our next speaker. This person is an incredible and passionate education advocate who we all know will continue fighting for public schools in his next adventure. Our next speaker is a great leader for his family, his beautiful family, Patty, Noel, and Patrick, who support him and drive him to do the work that he does. A great leader for education. He can talk public ed all day long because he is so passionate about the work that we do. He knows that we need as many people as possible fighting to ensure that all Texas students have the best education possible. And so he talks to everyone about it. But he follows it up with work. The work that needs to happen after you talk. He's a great leader for our union. He is an experienced union leader who has served as Team TSTA Vice President, as a board member of the Team TSTA Board of Directors, as President and Vice President of the Isleta Teachers Association, and much more. And he is now our Team TSTA President. I could go on and on about his work as a Team TSTA member, about his experience, his accomplishments, about how he is true to his roots, his character, but I won't. This year, my last year to introduce him as our TSTA president, I'll be brief, or I'll get more emotional. You see, as his vice president, I've been fortunate to call him many things. A friend, a mentor, y parte de mi familia. I've had the privilege to see firsthand the type of leader he is, the type of person he is. And I'm fortunate to have fought alongside him for all of our Texas students and the staff that make sure that they have the best public education possible. Thank you, Noel. So it's that time, Team TSTA. It is my privilege to introduce our TSTA President, Noel Candelaria.
I'm Noel Candelaria. a longtime special education teacher from Isleta in El Paso, the husband of an elementary school teacher, a proud union leader. That's what makes me an optimist. As educators, we see the potential in every student, and we do what it takes to help them achieve it. We plan, we teach, we grade, we tutor, we do hall duty, and yes, we learn new skills overnight. We feed hungry kids, we drive buses converted into Wi-Fi hotspots, and utilize new technology to teach remotely to make sure no child is left behind. But as the Texas Observer said, we're not stupid. We know schools are underfunded. We know the fraud that is the concept of merit pay. We know the difference between testing and teaching. And we know what it's like to be praised by policymakers who then go silent when it comes to our pay and our health care. We're optimists, yes, but we're fighters and organizers too. That's why the same extra mile we'll take for our kids, we'll take for each other. That means filling the rotunda of the state capitol, visiting lawmakers face to face, registering voters in our home districts. We organized online and on the ground, spoke at our local school board meetings, and showed the world what it means to wear red for ed. Our accomplishments speak for themselves. We defeated 2 anti-education state senators with 2 pro-education champions. Take that, Dan Patrick. And we elected 12 new pro-education voices to the State House, reshaping the political landscape and passing the first statewide pay raise in years. Not to mention a needed 13th check for our retired teachers. But here's what teachers, educators, and all who make our schools run understand that too many politicians don't. We don't do this alone. Our power is in standing together and standing up for one another. That's why we filled the rotunda at the state capitol. But it's also why we stood up against SB 4 and stood up for Dreamers, spoke out against the bathroom bill, and it's why we supported our brothers and sisters who were hit hardest during Hurricane Harvey, and why we took a stand on the scandal with the artificial caps that underfunded special education, over the political oversteps that replaced elected leaders in Houston with political appointments out of Austin. Let them push their politics of division. We will defeat them with the politics of multiplication. Let them push their agenda to privatize, standardize, and deprofessionalize. We will fight back with a commitment to democratize and raise our collective voices. I realize the world is very different today than it was just months ago, but I'm still an optimist. Seeing educators learn new skills overnight, reach out to make sure no one is left behind. It's not always easy, but take it from a son of immigrants who became the first in his family to go to college, became an education support professional, a teacher, and is now in his final moments as president of the Texas State Teachers Association. Education changes lives because the people who build schools build dreams, and we won't stop because we're optimists, we're fighters, and we're family. I thank you for joining me on this journey, and know that I'll always be with you in the fight for our students and for the respect we deserve. Muchas gracias, Ovidia. Hello, Team TSTA. We are well into the first virtual awards ceremony in the 140-year history of the Texas State Teachers Association. You know, perhaps secretly, we've all aspired at one time or another to make history. But I don't think this is the kind of history anyone had in mind. But regardless, we are here. And here is where we've been for almost 3 months. Wow. We've been practicing the new art of social distancing, zooming in and out of meetings, and doing what we do best. Educating and working hard to best meet the needs of school children in your communities and across this great state. You know, I wish I could shake your hands, or better yet, give you a big hug like the familia that we are, which is one of my favorite things about our HoDs, but I can't. But here's what I can do. I've said it before and I'll say it again. I have the greatest respect, gratitude, and admiration for each and every one of you, for the incredible work that you've been doing and continue to do during one of the most challenging times, perhaps the most challenging time in our profession. I applaud you. All of you have been making history with heroic contributions to the school children in your community, our state, and their families. We demanded that Governor close the school buildings for the remainder of the spring semester, and he did, because we wanted to make sure that we would protect the safety of our students and our educators in our communities. But many of you and your colleagues, our cafeteria workers, bus drivers, and other ESPs, have been putting on masks, risking your own health and safety to distribute meals to needy school children who would otherwise go hungry without them. Others have risked your own health and safety to clean and protect school buildings, while others have delivered Chromebooks to students or even drove and parked your school buses in parking lots and other locations to provide Wi-Fi hotspots for children without internet access at home. And teachers, while working from your homes, you have made heroic adjustments to provide lessons and activities to keep your students engaged from afar. You have carved out, however you could, spaces for makeshift classrooms and rapidly adjusted to a new way of delivering instruction, which, as we know, is just not the same as being together in our classrooms and our public schools. But you are still guiding them through new lessons and concepts, through your dedication and innovation. I know that all of us who work in public education have missed the everyday experience of seeing our students and each other in the classroom and on campus. We miss sharing in their triumphs and relishing those moments when their eyes light up and when those wonderful aha moments happen. It's those moments that reaffirm why we decided to become educators. See, the neighborhood public school is the center of the community, and all of you have gone to great lengths to keep your communities together during a health crisis that is unprecedented in our lifetime. You are my heroes. This HoD, of course, is more than just historic for me. It is special because it is my last one as your president. For 6 years and 3 years before that as your vice president, I've had the amazing pleasure of working with the most dedicated, talented group of education professionals and union leaders a person could work with. Hashtag Team TSTA, I applaud you and thank you for your support, your friendship, and your hard work. Now please allow me to reflect for a few minutes on what we have all accomplished together in the last 6 years. The first achievement I want to talk about is the new TSTA building in Austin. Some of you know it took several years to accomplish, but knowing that TSTA is now in a stronger and stable financial position, that's something that I'm very proud of. We are now in a modern building, and TSTA can focus on using our resources to build the union that our members deserve and fulfill our mission and goals. As much as we enjoy the new building and fondly remember our past headquarters, we are reminded that the heart of TSTA is found in each and every one of you and our locals across the state. Every time a group of members come together in a local office, a campus break room, a district boardroom, a local restaurant, or any number of places we could find to meet, we are there to shape the learning and working conditions in our public schools. And who knows, when this pandemic subsides enough, we may even get to return to the headquarters building. I hope that happens before my term ends. I'm also really extremely proud of the collective victories that our locals have had because of our focus as a union on local organizing and engagement, especially in school board elections, coupled with our Vote Education First campaign. Our locals have won multiple victories, including salary increases, better benefits, smaller class sizes, due process rights, respect campaigns, and many, many more. We We as TSTA are building local power, which will make us a more powerful statewide union. And that in turn will create a strong public school system for every student and improve the professional and personal lives of our members. See, our Vote Education First campaign also paid off last year in 2019, when the legislature added $6.5 billion to public school budgets, including $2 billion to give teachers and school employees pay raises. The extra funding also boosted a number of vital programs that we care about, including the expansion of full-day pre-K for low-income children, high-quality reading and dual language programs, and more services for students with dyslexia. See, but lawmakers, because of us, also increased funding for the teacher retirement system by more than $1.1 billion. This boosted contributions to the pension plan and paid for the first 13 check that retirees have received in more than a dozen years. And why did this happen? It happened because we as TSTA marched to the polls in 2018 and we elected more than a dozen new education-friendly candidates to the Texas House and the Senate. That's why. We have repeatedly defeated proposals to enact private school vouchers. And Dan Patrick, Mr. Voucher himself, he didn't even propose a voucher bill in 2019. And we have also held virtual vouchers at bay by successfully advocating for strict restrictions on virtual schools. And when this coronavirus pandemic struck, Team TSTA was out front, demanding that Governor Abbott call off start testing for the year and order school buildings closed for the remainder of the spring semester to help keep all of us safe. The governor did both those things. And we also demanded that hungry school children continue to be fed and hourly school employees continue to be paid during these school closures. And many districts, if not most, agreed. Unfortunately, the coronavirus wasn't the first disaster to strike Texas during my tenure as president. See, after Hurricane Harvey struck in 2017, forcing thousands of our members in Texas from their homes, I was proud to see Team TSTA step forward and contribute to a special recovery fund for members who suffered losses. See, corporate charter chains, meanwhile, continue to pose a disaster of another kind. They are still expanding in Texas as we speak, raking in millions of tax dollars every year, and they are waved on by an education commissioner who is more a charter cheerleader than regulator. See, but that fight isn't over. We have sued the commissioner for violating the law, and we have sued the Longview Independent School District for also violating the law as it tries to convert its entire school system to charters. I'm also very proud of TSTA for being at the forefront of the fight for immigrant children and their families, including the Dreamers, who continue to make important contributions to our state and country. See, many Dreamers are teachers in our public schools and TSTA members. And today, many are healthcare providers, first responders, and essential workers on the front lines of this coronavirus pandemic, risking their own lives to help others. As we know, the fight for educators and school children is never over, and it will grow even more intense in the coming months as the state and school districts wrestle with budgetary shortfalls in the wake of this pandemic and try to figure out how and when to reopen our schools safely. TSTA, we will have to commit and renew our fight against those who would cut public education and privatize. And if health experts are correct, and the threat of the coronavirus continues to hover over us for months to come, we may have to reinvent how we deliver public education, at least for the near future. See, privatization opportunists are already drooling at what they see as an opportunity to replace teachers, or at least lessen our role in favor of selling programs and computers. You know, a Dan Patrick task force has issued a report proposing the removal of most restrictions on virtual schools. And we know that That would unleash an army of greedy predators on our school districts and our tax dollars. Team TSTA, we must and we will demand a seat at the table where decisions will be made about the future of public education, beginning with the very important questions of how, when schools will reopen. We will demand careful steps are taken to assure the safety of our students and educators alike. See, we are the experts, not Dan Patrick, not Bill Gates, or greedy tech pushers, and especially not some corporate charter CEO. We all know this is an election year, and we get that seat at the table, and maybe several seats at the table, by doing what we did so effectively in 2018. We organize and march to the polls. We take as many people with us as humanly possible, our colleagues, family members, friends, as well as new friends who believe in the promise of public education for every student. And we all vote education first in what will be one of the most crucial elections of our lifetimes. I want to thank you. I want to thank you for participating in TSTA's first virtual awards ceremony. Thank you for what you do every day for the school children of Texas and your communities. And thank you for the opportunity to lead TSTA. I'm very proud of what we have accomplished together. Working with you and all of our members has truly been an honor and a memorable, fulfilling experience that I will treasure for the rest of my life. I've also been extremely blessed that alongside this amazing chapter in my life, I've shared it with a supportive partner who is an amazing wife, mother, and phenomenal leader herself. Patty, thank you, and I love you. And thank you, Patrick and Noel, for being amazing kids who are growing up with a social justice heart and are blessed with hundreds of tios and tias, uncles and aunties across this great state. We couldn't do the amazing work that we do without the support of our families. So I want to thank you and all your families, because we are a TSTA familia. A TSTA family that knows that our work continues, and we will continue under strong, capable, and dedicated leadership from the local level to our new state president. I feel confident about the future of TSTA, and for that reason, I feel confident about the future of our Texas public schools. Thank you again, my friends, my TSTA familia, and my heroes. Muchísimas gracias. Stay safe, be blessed during this difficult time, and keep up the great work.
Hello, Team TSTA. Congratulations and my thanks to all of you for overcoming unprecedented obstacles to finish the school year strong. I hope you and your families remain safe and well. This pandemic has already made quite a difference for our families, our professions, and our everyday lives, and for our PAC. It can also make a big difference in our elections, and that is a very scary prospect. With another 4 years of Donald Trump at stake in an upcoming session of the Texas legislature that will have some very difficult budgetary choices to make for public education. The pandemic has hammered Texas's stream of tax revenue, and that makes it crucial that we elect lawmakers who will protect and enhance our public schools, not use the pandemic as an excuse to make deep cuts in education funding when the new state budget is written next year. To do that, we will need to vote education first in the large numbers that we did 2 years ago, and maybe even larger. TSTA PAC is supporting pro-public education legislative candidates of both parties, like we always do. They need our help, and that is why I'm here, giving you a virtual PAC pitch. Many of these candidates are first-term legislators who we elected 2 years ago thanks to your PAC donations, which made a difference for them then and for us in the last session. But they are being targeted for defeat now by the Dan Patrick crowd and other well-funded promoters of school privatization. We need to re-elect these lawmakers and add to their numbers. To do that, we need PAC money for financial contributions for public school-friendly candidates, for other forms of support, and get out the vote efforts that could very well mean the difference between victory and defeat for our friends. Their opponents are heavily funded, and we need to fight back. We are also fighting Donald Trump allies who are trying to discourage educators from voting during the pandemic by blocking efforts to expand mail-in voting for people who are reluctant to vote in person for fear of getting sick, as has happened in other places. One thing we can't do virtually in Texas, even during a pandemic, is vote. We can overcome these obstacles, but it will require a lot of hard work and your contributions to TSTA PAC. If you already contribute every month, thank you. And please consider increasing your contribution. If you don't contribute, please sign up and contribute as much as you can afford. You may say, I can't afford to make a PAC contribution. But here is what you can't afford. You can't afford the election of legislators who will use this health emergency as an excuse to slash and burn the public education budget and privatize our public schools. And you can't afford the election of legislators who will force school districts to eliminate jobs, maybe your job or the job of someone you know. A lot, literally, is at stake in this election year. So please contribute as much as you can. Everybody's contribution adds up because there is strength in numbers. There is strength in TSTA, and there is strength in our TSTA PAC. Make a difference for your students. Make a difference for your professions, and make a difference for Texas's future. Contribute now. Thank you.
Thank you, Ovidia. Now I want all of you to check out the link on the screen. It is time to donate to PAC. Never has it been more important to elect pro-public education candidates.
Thanks, Noel. Now it is time to recognize our School Bell Award winners. These are members of the news media whose work covering public education and educators is critical to TSTA, our students, and the success of our public school system. You can see the complete list of winners on screen, and we have also posted them to the website. We will also recognize the locals that participate in our Pride in Communication Award category. Effective communication within our locals is an essential part of organizing campaigns and everything else that we do. On screen, you will see a list of those locals. Congratulations to all of our winners. Now I want to talk about an amazing group of members, our campus leaders, or association representatives. They are a critical part of the local leadership team, and we could not be successful without them. Several of our locals recognize their all-star ARs, and you can see them on screen. Keep up the great work, and a big shout out and thank you to all of our campus leaders. We have built a strong legacy of activism and professional excellence as a union. Every generation of TSTA members contribute to that legacy. Leaders for Tomorrow is an award that celebrates and honors the exciting fact that we are a growing movement and one that develops leaders. Several locals submitted Leaders for Tomorrow nominees, and I encourage more locals to keep doing so every year.
Thanks, Ovidia. That's right. We all must be working to make sure that we have a pipeline of new leaders coming into the union. Our future depends on it. This year, I've had the pleasure of working with several emerging early career educators who volunteered to spend a few days training to become future leaders in our union. I would like to show you a little of what they did. Wow. Let's congratulate our ECE graduates. Check out their names on the screen. We're looking forward to seeing how your leadership and activism will shape the learning conditions for students, teaching conditions for public school employees, and the direction of our union. Congratulations again.
Thank you, Noel. As a family, we come together to also remember our dear members who have sadly passed away. Here are the names of the members that our local affiliates have sent us. Please join us as we take a moment of silence to honor them.
Thank you, Ovidia, for leading us in that moment of silence. Before we get to this year's membership awards, I would like to show a brief video that captures some of the work you all have been doing during this year in your locals. This year we have 38 membership awards to distribute to 15 different locals. I will keep my comments brief, but I do want these locals to know that we are happy to celebrate their success, even in this virtual setting. 2 different locals won an award in at least one category. The Beaumont Teachers Association for 3rd place in market share. The Isleta Teachers Association for 5th place in market share. And 7 locals won 2 awards. Education Round Rock tied for 5th place overall and received 2nd place for percent increase in ESPs. The Grand Prairie Education Association tied for 5th place overall and received 2nd place for percent increase in teacher members. The Lubbock Educators Association for 5th place in numerical increase of teacher members and tied for 5th place for percent increase in ESP members. The Northeast Education Association for 4th place in numerical increase of teacher members and 5th place for percent increase of teacher members. The Port Arthur Teachers Association tied for 5th place overall and received 2nd place in market share. PSJA TSTA tied for 4th place overall and received 1st place in percent increase of teacher members. The Southside Education Association tied for 4th place overall and received 1st place in market share. 4 locals won 3 awards. The Del Valley Education Association tied for 5th place overall and received 4th place in ESP numerical increase and 4th place in ESP percentage increase. Ector County TSTA came in 3rd overall, 2nd place in numerical increase in teacher members, and 3rd place in percentage increase of teacher members. The Hayes Educators Association tied for 5th overall and received 5th place in ESP numerical increase and 3rd place in ESP percentage increase. The San Antonio Alliance tied for 4th overall and received third place in ESP numerical increase and fourth place in market share. 2 locals won 5 awards. Education Austin won second place overall, first place in numerical teacher increase, first place in ESP numerical increase, and tied for fourth in percentage increase in teacher members, and tied for fifth in ESP percentage increase. The Pflugerville Educators Association won first place overall, third place for numerical increase in teacher members, second place in ESP numerical increase, tied for fourth in percentage increase in teacher members, and received first place for ESP percentage increase. Great job, and congratulations to all our locals, and keep up the great work. This is the third year of what has become our annual TSTA Student Art Contest. And this year, we had a record number of submissions, thanks to all of you. You can view all the art submitted and the winners on our award ceremony website. The theme this year was Celebrating Diversity in My Public School. What a great theme. And we have 2 categories. Category 1 was K through 5, and Category 2 was 6 through 12. I want to thank each and every one of you for voting in the TSTA Young Artist Contest. And we will now, drum roll please, announce the winners. In 5th place, in Category 1, we had submission number 1-4 by Andrea Silva of Pearland ISD. And in Category 2, submission number 2-24 by Cassandra Avalos of Isleta ISD. In 4th place, in Category 1, we had submission number 1-16 by Alexis Nicole Stewart of Pearland ISD. And in Category 2, submission number 2-1 by Grace Vincent of Abilene ISD. In 3rd place, in Category 1, we had submission number 1-7 by Avon De Hoyos of Pearland ISD. And in Category 2, we had submission number 2-3 by Maya Wellborn of Abilene ISD. In 2nd place, in Category 1, we had submission number 1-68 by Milena Guerra of Pearland ISD. And in Category 2, we had submission number 2-2 by Jayla Milcrease of Abilene ISD. And in 1st place, in Category 1, submission number 1-81 by Lindsay Comfer of Pearland ISD. And in Category 2, 1st place goes to submission number 2-7 by Maddie McMillan of Abilene ISD. Thank you to everyone who encouraged the young artists in their lives to share their artwork with us. Congratulations to the winners of the art contest, and thank you and congratulations for all of you who submitted artwork for us to enjoy and to view. Thank you. We talk a lot about how important PAC contributions from our members are to us. And now we want you to hear from an elected official on how important it is to them. John Busey was sworn into the Texas House on January 8, 2019, after winning the November 8, 2018 general election with 53% of the vote. TSTA endorsed Representative Busey and helped defeat the incumbent Republican Tony Dale, flipping a House seat that was held by a Republican for the prior 16 years. Representative Busey was one of the 12 House seats flipped last cycle that we must hold on to this November.
Hi everybody, I hope you're having a great virtual convention. I'm State Representative John Busey, and I serve House District 136 in Northwest Austin, Cedar Park, and Leander. I'm proud to be a Texas State Teachers Association endorsed legislator and to fight alongside all of you for our public schools, our teachers, and our students. I was honored to be a co-author of House Bill 3 last session. This was a major step in restoring cuts and supporting public education, but it's just the beginning. Every session must be a public education session, but we can't make that happen without you. So much is at stake this election. We have the ability to flip the Texas House. We're only 9 seats away. The work of TSTA is critical to that cause and to fighting for public education. In the times of COVID-19, the budget will be tight, but we cannot allow the legislature to balance the budget at the expense of our children and our public schools. We must flip seats this election so we don't lose the gains we made. TSTA PAC is vital to helping our pro-public education candidates. We wouldn't be successful without your continued support and your guidance. So I want to thank you all for the opportunity to say a few words, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Busey. And delegates, there's still time. Click on the link you see on screen to become a contributor and make a donation today. Let's turn the House and state pro-public education for our students and the future of this great state. Become a continuing contributor or upgrade now. Now let's talk about something that is at the heart of what we do, legislative advocacy. There is no question that all educators, parents, and frankly students want to desperately go back to schools. But that can only happen when we can all go back safely. To help states as they weather what could be the worst economic downturn in U.S. history, educators and parents are demanding that Congress act quickly to support schools and students with the federal funding they need to succeed by passing the HEROES Act. The bill provides $915 billion in state and local aid to address budget gaps, which can be used to help public schools, with $100 billion specifically for K-12 and higher ed. It contains $1.5 billion to address the digital divide and homework gap that impacts far too many students, especially in communities of color. When our students return, we need them to make sure that they have all the resources that they need and that educators have what they need in order to facilitate learning. We need funds to create smaller class sizes and keep educational employees working, not budget cuts resulting in ballooning class sizes and insufficient staff to maintain safe learning environments. Please, join us and take the time to email or call our senators and text your friends and use your social media to encourage your friends to do the same. Thank you for attending this historic event. This concludes our TSTA Awards ceremony. And yes, thank you for making history with me and for everything you do to make things better for our students, our colleagues, and public education. I really miss seeing you. We are a family, and we will get through this challenge together. Please take care and stay safe.